that is the car that I wanted, and I manifested it. Hi, it's Scola and welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to tell the story of how I manifested my dream car. So I was kind of in two minds about making this video today because one, this is the type of thing not everyone is into. The whole law of attraction thing is one of those things that some people just think is really silly and some people are really into it. I just so happen to be one of those people that is really into it and I'm really passionate about it. Also, I was kind of in two minds about this because it just feels very tone deaf to be talking about manifesting cars at a time like this. A lot of us are struggling. It's like, Scola, read the room. Do people really want to hear about this right now? And I sort of just came to the conclusion that for me personally, I find these types of things really uplifting. Hearing really positive stories can make me feel really, really good. So I hope this does that for you because I am struggling right now too. I'm going through a tough time, but I'm just trying to be as positive as possible whenever I can, which is not every day, and that's completely fine. But anyway, today I just really felt it in my heart to sit down and tell this story because it's a story that makes me really happy. I'm gonna try to give some background to this story because I feel like a bit of background information is very useful. So I am an immigrant and my family moved here from Zimbabwe when I was about 5 years old. So it's one of those classic immigrant stories where your parents have like two jobs, they're working night and day, killing themselves so that you can have the same things your peers have, or just make sure you have what you need to have a happy childhood, and I feel like my parents really did that. That being said, we grew up in a very middle class area, so generally the people in this area are fairly well off. So it was the norm that once you came of age, 17 or so, and it was time to start your driving lessons, then your parents would pay for your driving lessons and then most likely also buy you your first car. That being said, even though that was the case, a lot of people had good work ethics and would get a part-time job and contribute to the, you know, costs of driving lessons or getting their own car. Also, it's important to note that not everybody was well off. Some people didn't have this, but it was like the vast majority generally had this sort of setup where their parents would contribute, if not pay, for all of their driving lessons and their first car. So when it came to me being of age, I just knew it wasn't possible. We were going through a really tough time, we were struggling, but luckily I had started a little part-time job. The funny thing is, when I was around 16, I did actually apply for like a proper job. There was this catering company that was hiring like literally everyone in my year, like everyone was getting hired and working for this catering company. And when I applied, I didn't hear anything. Like, I kept following up, I didn't hear anything. Just to drop in there, I was one of the only black kids in my year. Just, you know, do whatever you will with that information. You know what my name is, Scola, an unusual name here, so, you know, I can only deduce why I might have not gotten that job, but everything happens for a reason because I'd started my YouTube channel, and instead of going to do a part-time job and working on the weekends like all my friends, I was sitting in my room filming videos. Very lucky for me, and forever feel blessed that I took up this little hobby. So I remember at the time I did try to start driving lessons, but I couldn't be very consistent because, as I said, my family was going through a tough time, so I was contributing to the family but also having to pay for all my costs for like school and stuff like that. I couldn't put all the money I was getting from my job into the driving lesson, so it was very on and off, and this went on for a few years. So if you don't know my story, I couldn't go to university because I'm an immigrant as well, and it's a whole long story. I hope this isn't like longing the video out, but I feel like it's important for you guys to know what my financial sort of background was before I go into this, just to show how much it sort of came out of nowhere and how it was manifested. So I feel like that's kind of important when it comes to these stories, because it's different if I was like, yeah, my parents just bought me my car and they just, you know, paid for my driving lessons. I feel like it'd be a different story because then it'd be like, well, that was expected. It's not really out of the blue, is it? I ended up not going to uni, but I started working as a personal trainer, carried on with YouTube, making okay money, but like any good immigrant child, I had to continue to contribute to the family whilst also you know, looking after myself, all of that kind of stuff. Now, I've always been the type of person who saves. I save a lot, especially as a self-employed person. Like, you can never feel safe. Like, you could go months without getting money, so you just have to save as much as possible, and I'm glad I had that in me already. Even when I was younger, I used to always save. Like, saving is just something I always do, but it's very much out of fear rather than like out of like enjoyment. I wish I could just save out of enjoyment rather than like, oh my god, I'll be broke tomorrow if I don't save. So then there was this one year, I want to say it was 2017, I think it was 2017. I'd been doing alright being self-employed. I kind of was like on a steady stream of, you know, working, had my life together. I was living at home with my parents still, as I've always done. Here is where I'm gonna start talking about how I started the manifestation process. Now, I can't remember whether I did this with the law of attraction in mind or what I was thinking, but I made a list of goals, okay? So this is when the manifesting starts, okay? So this is, I feel really vulnerable like just putting this out there, but this is very simple, okay? So I don't know if you can see this very well, but this is a list of goals that I drew out. I can't remember when exactly I did this, but it might have been at the beginning of 2017, if not 2016, I can't remember. But anyway, I made a list of goals that I wanted to achieve, and I stuck this up right by the side of my bed, which is why it has a coffee stain, because in the mornings I used to lie in bed and have my cup of coffee, and I guess I must have like spilled it. So I'd always see it, and it was always at the forefront of my head. But like, it was sort of becoming subconscious, because after a while you don't constantly think every day like, you know, my goals, my goals, my goals. It's just there. Do you know what I mean? Which is one of the key teaching points of the law of attraction, is that once you have said you want something, you just have to say you want it and then let it go. Don't try to think about how it's going to come into your life, how you're going to do it. Obviously you want to be working towards it somehow, but you don't want to like kill yourself just thinking about like how it's gonna happen. This is exactly how it's gonna come into my life, blah blah blah. So as you can see, my goals are to buy a house, learn to drive, buy a car, and travel. I have achieved 3 of these, and I know why I haven't achieved the first one, and I'll get into that at the end. So yeah, I made this list and I drew little pictures, which is gonna be important, by the way, because the little pictures actually very important to this whole story. Like I said, I would be saving, but like any self-employed person knows, it's always good to have a lot of savings because you never know when your next job is gonna be. Another thing is I was saving for the bigger goal. Like, I didn't really have the smaller goals in mind. Like, the bigger goal, buying a house, was like my main goal, so I always save for that. So like, once I put money aside, like I don't even think it exists. Like, I put it away, I don't think about it. So I never thought of the money that I'd saved to even go towards something like a car, because it sort of felt like a luxury to me. I'm not gonna lie, it sort of felt like something I didn't necessarily need, but just something that I wanted, and just a luxury, that I would really enjoy and make me feel really good. So then came the summertime, and I got an amazing email, an amazing opportunity out of nowhere. And it was the kind of opportunity that completely changed everything. This is going to be giving you guys a little bit of inside knowledge into like how this whole like YouTuber, influencer, creator sort of world works. But typically when a brand emails you about working with you, collaborating with you, they don't upfront tell you everything. There's sort of a back and forth, like negotiating, and then numbers eventually get thrown around, but it's not upfront. And I remember with this email, it was upfront. It was like, this is how much we're gonna pay you, this is what we want to do with you, and this is a whole brief, all the information right there. And I literally remember getting that email and I screamed. It was the most I had ever been offered for any job ever. And I remember just replying and be like, yes, straight away. And I was like, yes, I am doing this. This is amazing. And the way it was set up like meant that financially I could put money away to save, and obviously money for tax, never forget that. But it meant that my income for that year, for that tax year, like had just increased by such a huge percent. I mean, I'm not very good at maths, to be honest with you, but with such a huge percentage, it was like I could potentially afford to treat myself that year, which is something I struggle with. But that's another teaching of the law of attraction, or like attracting stuff, is not to be scared to spend money, because you have to always think that it will come back to you. But that's for another video, we'll get into that another time. So I remember seeing this email and it just completely changed my life. And I remember I was so thankful to the agency that set up that whole brand deal. Like at the end of it, I sent them like a box of like cookies, or was it donuts or something. Like whenever I get a job or anything or any opportunity, I always just want to go and like hug the person who said, Scola, we're gonna do that for you, because it can really change someone's life. So that's why even for me, whenever I can give someone any kind of opportunity, if I have the power to, I try to do that, because that can be a turning point for someone. Even if it seems small to you, just do it. And this was one of those turning points for me, and I was just forever grateful and thankful that they chose me for it, because I was like, why would you choose me? Anyway, that's an important thing, that when you receive anything, be grateful. Be grateful for what you have, be full of thanks and gratitude all the time as much as you can. And that's something that I did, so remember that as well. So I remember I did the job, like I put the money aside and the summer was done, and we'd done all the stuff for this big project, campaign, whatever, and it was coming up to my birthday, and I was thinking like, I just have this money sitting there, like what should I do with it? Should I put it towards my house fund, or should I put it towards something to actually treat myself? Which is really hard, because you know, you wonder, are you being dumb, smart, like what should I do? And then like obviously there's the teachings with the law of attraction that, you know, you should think of money as something that is always going to come back to you if you put it out. But you know, it's hard to you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Anyway, it was coming up to my birthday, and I'd been talking to my mum about it, just like, Scola, you know what, you deserve it, like let's just go and look at some cars. So just to give you some background information, I had originally thought I was going to get another car, so I was going to get a Nissan Micra, and that was simply just because my best friend had that car, and I could easily get that car because her dad worked at like a car place and could like source it for me easily. So I just thought, oh, I'll get that car, but it didn't quite spark joy the way I wanted it to. It didn't really do it for me. So then one of my other friends had a Fiat 500, and Fiat 500s are so cute. I absolutely love them. Okay, this was before everyone started making fun of like Fiat 500 girls, just so you know, and that became a whole thing, like Fiat 500 Twitter. And I really liked the shape of her car, but she had it in white, and I don't know, I'm not a very car person. So even though I have this like dream car, I'm not a really big car person at all. And so I didn't really look at cars, to be honest with you. I just knew I wanted a cute car. Do you know what? I'm getting mixed up. I should also say I'd started doing lessons. I had put some of the money to doing lessons well, and even that setup, the way it worked out was so perfect. So I wanted to have a car so that I could sort of go out with my mum, and she can like help me do extra hours of learning in my own car, so that I could get the hang of that as well. So we went to the car dealership, and I remember it was that day when like for some reason there was like a huge like sand cloud storm thing over like a lot of countries. I can't even remember what it was, but if I can find a picture of it, I'll insert it. So it was a really weird day already. It felt like a very strange dystopian day, because like the sky was this like weird red color. Anyway, we head down to the car dealership. So I'm looking at different cars, and I realized I have very specific things that I wanted. One, I wanted it to be a baby blue color. So I needed, like, I wasn't fussed about the type of blue, but now I had this blue in my head, this like baby blue in my head, because I'd been looking at it and that's what I wanted. I wanted to manifest that blue, and not many cars are that blue, to be honest with you. Like, and so that was my one thing. My second thing was it had to be automatic. So I decided to do automatic lessons. I realized I didn't enjoy manual. I did manual lessons for most of the years that I was trying to learn how to drive. I just did not enjoy it. Like, make fun of me if you will. I hate this whole like, oh, if you drive automatic, you can't really drive. You can only drive if you drive manual. Mate, like, just leave me alone. And so we're looking around the car lot. Most of the cars are manual because that was just more common there. I saw it. I saw this beautiful, adorable blue Fiat 500, and I was like, that's my dream car. And imagine, like, I'd not even seen it before. I just don't pay attention to cars like that, but I just saw it and I was like, that's my dream car. That's the car I drew. Even though this is like the worst drawing, that's the car I drew. And the guy was like, okay, I'm not sure if it's automatic, I'm gonna have to check. He checked and I was like, oh my god, amazing. And at this point, I had no idea of prices. I didn't know how much it was gonna cost. I kind of knew because my friend had bought her car, so what kind of prices I could be looking at, but I was like, I might not even be able to afford this. I might not even be willing to buy it for that much because it was fairly new. It wasn't too old, because that's another thing I wanted. I didn't want a super old car because I knew I wanted something that would run and not cause me loads of problems. So I knew it was going to be kind of a little bit more pricey than your typical like first car. Anyway, long story short, it was the perfect car, and I remember going in, signing the documents, buying my car on the spot, and just thinking to myself, like, this is amazing. Like, being able to drop this much money in one go and just walk away with my dream car. And I hadn't, like, I'd literally been looking at this and I just managed to manifest it. The only difference, okay, from my drawing is this had 2 doors, my car just has 1 door. So it's kind of annoying because people have to like move the seat to get into the back, but it's fine because I rarely have that many people in my car anyway and my friends don't mind. That is the car that I wanted and I manifested it. I always say that I'm never going to get rid of that car because it's always a reminder of what I can do with positive thinking and also what I can do with hard work as well, because you can't ignore the fact that I also had been working hard as well. It didn't just pop out of nowhere magically. That's not how the law of attraction works necessarily, but it was still very unexpected for me to be able to be in a position to do that. And I haven't been in a position to like buy a car since, like, if something happened to my car now and it disappeared and someone was like, buy a car now, I'd be like, yeah, I can't do that. But yeah, I feel like that was kind of anticlimactic, like, yeah, I just did all of these things and then I got a car. But I hope this was sort of uplifting for you guys. I hope it just gives you a little bit of motivation to think positively, use the law of attraction to attract what you want into your life. And honestly, visual aids like this really do help to look at stuff every day and just give you that boost that you need. But I've been talking for so long, so I'm sort of rushing the end now, which is kind of a shame because this is the most exciting part, because like I bought the car and, you know, I have it now and it's my dream car. And another thing, I feel like people will make fun of me for saying this is my dream car. Like I said, I'm not a big car person. I do have another dream car now, but I know I don't want it for a while. Like, I'm really happy with my current car. It's the cutest thing. I know it's not everyone's taste, like, please don't make fun of me. And I think that's another thing, is like when it comes to law of attraction, it's much easier to attract things that almost seem possible to you, because then you're like, oh, you know, it's not crazy to be able to buy a car. And because I'd seen so many people around me do it, it seemed like not a crazy thing to do. Whereas like buying a house is harder to manifest and attract, because I feel like it seems like very impossible for, especially for people our age, to do it. So I feel like I spend a lot of time trying to fill myself with positivity, looking at other people my age that have like bought property and have done really well and how they did it and stuff, because I feel like it fills me up with that good energy to attract and manifest it too, because I'll be like, yeah, it's possible, I can do it, I can do it. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want me to do more videos like this, do let me know. There's other things that I've manifested, attracted, if you want to see my process of how I do like my vision boards, and I have other lists that I've written since this one. This one I don't actually use anymore, but I keep it for the memes, and technically I haven't achieved everything. I could talk about travel if you want me to talk about how I've achieved that and like just non-stop traveled. I could go into that, but this one's a doozy. But anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any stories of your own, please do leave them down below. But anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay healthy, stay luscious, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.